guys, another big weekend in the Championship. Once again, I asked you for your opinions on your team's match on the community tab, and in today's video we're going to be going over some of those comments. Without any further ado, let's jump in. Daniel, who's a Leeds fan, says 100% better with the players that want to play on the field. Seeing players like Shackleton, Geldhart and James having a quality game is a massive boost, but with the money from Adams we still need players to come in. PS, class debut from Rodon. Yeah, really impressed by Joe Rodon. Very composed on the ball and defensively also very sound. Think he'll be a good pickup for Leeds United for the season. In terms of the game itself, Leeds did get into some really promising positions, but Alex Palmer I thought had a top game in net for West Brom. Then that goal somewhat comes against the run of play and a little bit controversially coming in off the arm of Thomas Asante, but it's Luke Ayling with the goal to get Leeds back into it. Bit of a frustrating start for Leeds so far, with them winless in 3. Daniel Farke not working in an ideal situation with, players looking to leave, the players that have already left, and how they'll have to go about replacing them in the final few weeks of the transfer window. But you can see the template of what he's trying to do. It's just a question of can they get all the puzzle pieces to make this system click with the quality that is just lacking that little bit in the final third right now for Leeds. I think their next game up against Ipswich Town away will be a very telling one, because I've been very impressed with Ipswich so far. Christian says Cherthams and Adam Armstrong will tear things up together this season. We really need to work on set piece and crossing defending though. Yeah, I thought it was a really good open end-to-end game of football between Plymouth and Southampton, and in the end it was just Southampton's extra quality in the final third which told. We did speak previously whether or not Russell Martin could find a way to fit Teller, Armstrong and Adams all into the same starting 11. He did so in this game, and in the end Southampton really reaped the benefits of that. Now it does beg the question whether the likes of Adams and Teller especially will even be at Southampton come the end of this transfer window, as they've both been subject to freshly rejected bids of late, one coming in from Europe and obviously one from Everton in regards for Adams. There has been a good start to this season for Southampton, albeit there could be a lot more to change come the end of the transfer window. From a Plymouth perspective, still think they can take a lot of plaudits from that game against Southampton. Think they'll cause a lot of teams problems this season, particularly at home. Thought that Morgan Whittaker did absolutely brilliantly for that quick fire equaliser, just wasn't to be, and in the end it was that extra bit of quality which told for the Saints. Mark says Hull fan absolutely on top, and 2 brilliant goals by Connolly. Yeah, it was quite the game in the end at Ewood Park, really exploded into life in the second half. Obviously Blackburn played the majority down to 10 men thanks to that red card picked up by Harry Pickering early on, but took Hull a little bit of time to get going. It was actually Blackburn who took the lead, Sam Gallagher with a nice strike, but Aaron Connolly flipping this game on its head. But I mean, the one play that I really wanted to pick out was Seri. That pass for that first goal was absolutely exquisite, and Hull do have a few of those conductors who are capable of picking out those match-winning passes, the likes of Tufan, who's brilliant at switching the play, and Seri, who's so clever in those positions in and around the box. But Connolly does really well to latch onto it, and then at 1-1 seemed like a really open game. Rovers had a couple of chances to go on and win it, but in the end it was Connolly, a ball over the top, which once again, brilliant movement to latch onto and keeps cool with the finish to make it 2-1 to Hull. Thought that one would be quite a close game. In the end the red card probably did skew things a little bit, but excellent result on the road for Hull there, and 2 nice goals by Connolly. Birmingham unreal, keeping a strong Bristol City side at bay with 0 shots on target and a comfortable win with back-to-back clean sheets is the perfect start under our new era. Definitely so. 7 points from a possible 9 is definitely nothing to be sniffed at, and considering the fairly big overturn of players that Blues have had this summer, thought it may take a little bit of time for things to settle in, but in many ways been the perfect start for Birmingham, and I think they probably played teams at a good point in this season as well. They took advantage of the lead situation last time, and Bristol City having a little bit of a wobble early on, certainly creatively so. Bristol City in their opening 3 games have only had 3 shots on target. Like the comment said there, 0 shots on target for Bristol City in this game. A testament there to the Blues back line and how well they kept them at bay, but definitely an overriding issue which has been present in a couple of Bristol City matches so far. Certainly their 2 home matches against Birmingham and Preston on the opening day of the season, but Birmingham were there to take advantage of that. Lovely strike by Miyoshi with the opening goal, and then Duke wrapping things up later in the second half. Perfect start for the Birmingham new era. Bristol City, Pearson's got a few things to fix for me, certainly from a creative aspect. Tyler, who's a Leicester fan, says, quite underwhelmed honestly, missed passes and bad touches all around. Great first half spoiled by Aaron Ramsey turning back the clocks. Second half was flat out atrocious, constantly exposed on the counter-attack. Yeah, it feels like a bit of an overriding pattern with Leicester so far this season, that the performances haven't quite been at the level that a few of us thought they might be, but they're just grinding out wins at the moment. Another case with this one, a late winner in the end by their new loanee from Chelsea. Casady, right place at the right time to slot in that winner, but a few marks against Leicester again where they're definitely going to need to improve. There were several moments, like the comment said there, particularly in that second half where Cardiff could have looked to take advantage. Ugbo had a really good chance when he was sent through in the second half, but he just dragged his shot wide. And I suppose as a Leicester fan, you could look at this start in one of two ways really. Look deeper into the performances and see some of the concerning patterns which are still popping up week in, week out, or you look at it at the fact that I think Maresca said they're only playing about 10% of what they're capable of right now, and yet they've still got maximum points on the board. For Cardiff, the high point of this one had to be that Aaron Ramsey strike. Absolutely ridiculous. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a few of those throughout the season, but absolutely gutting to lose this one so late on, you know, as we saw them drop points really late on against Leeds previously. A late goal's come back to haunt them here again. James says, as a Borough fan, frustrated to watch, having plenty of the ball and creating enough chances, our attackers just can't put it away. Last season feels like a long time ago, having Akpom and Archer able to put simple chances away. At least first points are on the board now. Yeah, I think that was probably the case with both Huddersfield and Middlesbrough, obviously both picking up their first points of the season. Still both sides without a win up until this point. Subba Thomas working a bit of his magic for the opening Huddersfield goal, in the end going down as a Dale Fry own goal before Hayden Hackney conjures up a brilliant strike to get Middlesbrough back into this one. No real surprise that both Huddersfield and Middlesbrough lead the way in the Championship after 3 games for XG underperformance. They've both been guilty of missing some big chances so far, and I think it's pretty evident that each of them could really do with strengthening their forward line between now and the end of the transfer window. From that Borough side that we were analysing at the end of last season with Carrick, like James mentioned there, the quality has took a dip down quite considerably, I'd say, starting 11 pound for pound up against each other. I think it has to be a big few weeks for them in the window, because you can see what they're trying to do. There's just not quite that final touch at Borough right now. Ipswich, an amazing start. Thought we battled hard and showed our moments of quality when we needed to. However, QPR can take a lot of positives from their performance. The game changed when Sinclair Armstrong went off injured. Yes, for a lot of Ipswich fans, to be fair, really praising QPR for their performance in this game. Not much in it between these two in the end, certainly in terms of the chances at both ends, the XG numbers being very close, and once again Sinclair Armstrong being a real handful for the defenders. We saw what he was capable of in that game against Cardiff, and really unlucky here not to get on the score sheet. Went really close in the first half, having a chance coming off both posts, and a lot of warning signs there after a couple of sloppy moments from Ipswich, but in the end they have that quality in the final third when they need it to drop to them. Kind of Chaplin does well with his chance to make it 1-0, and in the end that was enough to separate these two sides. Despite that, still, like the comment says there, a lot of positives to take from QPR. It does feel like they've turned a little bit of a corner since that opening day disastrous performance against Watford, and more performances like that with Armstrong continuing to learn. Yeah, there are some more positives at QPR right now than there were a week or two ago. Neutral fan, another win for your team, Ben. Maybe they could do some huge things in the league this season. Yeah, not getting overly carried away, but have to admit it has been a really positive start to the season for Preston, especially when you consider the big name players that we've still got out injured and yet to feature this season, the likes of Ched Evans, Emil Rees, Ben Whiteman especially. The fact we've got 7 points on the board out of a possible 9 is a real testament to Lowe in this squad right now and what he's working with. Thought it was another hard-working, battling away performance, a game of quite few chances at Sheffield Wednesday, but we took our moment when it came around. Brilliant ball in from Kean Best from the set-piece situation, and Liam Lindsay gets his head onto it, and 7 points for a possible 9. No complaints whatsoever from me. But I think this comment sums up Sheffield Wednesday quite well as things stand. The Wednesday project will take a lot of patience, I feel, and hopefully results will come with time. But if we don't beat Cardiff next week, then that's probably the final straw. A few positives though. I thought that at times Bannon showed his quality, and Momo Diaby was very positive in the second half. Yeah, I thought Momo Diaby did show a few glimpses of quality in that game. With Wednesday, does feel like there are a few doubts starting to creep in over Xisco. The fact that Wednesday are now the only team in the Championship yet to pick up a point, and it's a difficult one to look from the outside looking in, because Wednesday were always playing catch up with the rest of the league, really, with how late they made that Darren Moore decision and then to bring Xisco in, how they are a little bit behind in their recruitment as well, with how long it took them to actually get going in the transfer market, and the fact that in quite a few areas that Wednesday squad probably isn't up to the required standard right now. All of those external factors are always going to make it really hard for a manager like Xisco. With that being said, I'm yet to be convinced. It has to be said, and that next game against Cardiff will be pivotal for Wednesday. Andre Vidigal is absolute class. I can see him getting 20 plus goals, great individual quality, and scored a cracking goal. Yeah, it was Vidigal who was the difference between Stoke and Watford in this game. Absolutely ferocious strike to give Stoke all 3 points. We saw him turn on the quality in Stoke's season opener against Rotherham, and it was more of the same in this one against Watford with a brilliant strike. I think this comment from Alfie sums up the game really well from Stoke's perspective. I'm so glad we can win scrappy home games again. This type of game happened about 6 times for us last season and lost all of them 1-0. We spoke about Stoke's home record at the start of the season and how it absolutely needs to improve after how poor they were in home matches last season. Well, Alex Neil has ultimately rectified that so far, winning their opening 2 home matches. As a Watford fan, I wouldn't be too disheartened by this game. It was a quite close game going off most of the statistics, and in the end it was just that extra bit of quality that swayed it in Stoke's favour. Mark, who's a Sunderland fan, says just happy we won. Joe Bellingham is a star. Yeah, what a weekend it was for the Bellingham brothers in general. We had Jude Bellingham absolutely smashing it for Real Madrid, and then Joe Bellingham coming up with a brace for Sunderland in this game. Now, a bit of a familiar pattern with Rotherham taking the lead in this one, but ultimately not being able to hold on to all 3 points. But going off the statistics in this one, it was Sunderland who crafted out the better opportunities after Rotherham had taken an early lead, and it was Bellingham in the right place at the right time to stick away both goals. We spoke about Sunderland being a little bit blunt in the final third, certainly down the middle. Mowbray went with sort of Bradley Dack in that floating striker role again, it seems, but Bellingham has been someone that I've been impressed with so far. No, he missed quite a gilt-edged chance on the season opener, but more than made up for that in this game with a brace. And to be honest, I've been really impressed with the minutes he's played so far and how he's immediately been thrust into that Sunderland starting 11. Let's not forget that whilst the potential with Bellingham is absolutely obvious to see, he only played 600 or so minutes for Birmingham in the Championship last season, but Sunderland and Tony Mowbray have put their faith into the youngster this season, and yeah, what a performance. Phil, who's a Coventry fan, says I thought we played okay first half but just lacked something in the final third today, especially in the second half. Missed Palmer, Alan O'Hare in the middle and Hamer obviously. Swansea defended deep but very well. Pretty average game and probably a fair draw. I think that's a pretty fair assessment of the game from both sides' perspectives really. Neither side accumulated that many clear-cut chances. Both teams ultimately finishing this game with an XG of below 1, and it was both teams' marksmen coming up clutch for them when it mattered really. Matty Godden scoring for Coventry once again. Forget just how effective a fully fit Matty Godden can actually be for this Cov side as they continue to bed in, you know, Ellis Sims and Hadji Wright. Matty Godden's goals, especially in this starting few months of the season, could be absolutely crucial while they do bed in those forwards. But someone who's taken no time at all to adapt and settle into his new surroundings has been Jerry Yates at Swansea. Well taken goal for him. Finishes a 1-1 draw. Going off the stats, probably fair in the end. Swansea slowly growing into this season, not been much to write home about so far, but I think it was always going to take time for Michael Duff to implement how he wants to play going forward, considering Swansea are coming off the back of Russell Martin ball. Norwich, great game. Barnes, Sargent, Rowe, all good. Sarah is so good. Only concern is depth and subs towards the end of the game, but looking good. Yeah, overall have to say, been impressed with Norwich. Been a good start to this season. 7 points for a possible 9, winning both of those home matches they've played so far, and a good performance against the Millwall side, who I thought would put up a little bit more in this game if I was honest. But good goal scored by Norwich. Second one, bit of a mess from a Millwall perspective, but Norwich capitalised on those situations. Another fantastic strike by Rowe, and for Barnes to get off the mark as well is a positive. From a Millwall perspective, does feel like the mood has dampened quite dramatically since that opening day victory against Millwall. Been back-to-back defeats for Gary Rowett's side since then. It does feel as if Rowett is coming under a little bit of pressure even this early on into this season. Creatively, Millwall haven't been brilliant so far. I know they got the goal towards the end of this game, but as things stand, only Sheffield Wednesday have accumulated a lower XG in their opening 3 matches than Millwall have, which is a cause for concern going forward. Still very early days for both sides, but Norwich, the vibes are good. Millwall Millwall, things on a bit of a downward trend at the moment. There we have it though guys, that will now wrap it up for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like and do get all your thoughts in the comments down below. Eager to see what you guys thought of your side's performance this weekend. Other than that though guys, that will wrap it up for today, and I'll see you all in the next one.